with open hearts, hold that the ancient words impart.
Good morning. A word from Psalm 46, verses 1 through 3. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth shall change, though the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult. May the living word of God speak to us through these ancient words of Scripture.
So what I'd like to talk about this morning is positive thinking and the will and spirit to make things happen, the determination to work things out for the best, the ability to turn lemons into lemonade, and the trust and faith to believe in yourself, and reminding ourselves that God believes in us and is there with his love and faith to support us. There is a lot there to inspire us if we open our eyes to it. For me, the inspiration started early in life, and it came from my grandmother, who came to this country from Italy through Ellis Island in 1910 at the age of 7. She grew up poor, got married, was widowed at the age of 45 with 3 daughters in college. With nothing more than modest Social Security payments, she saw those girls through college, through marriage, maintained her house, started her own business, which as a woman in the 1950s was truly pioneering, and then took in foster children. She taught me perseverance, to believe in myself, to think positively, and to make things happen, because they don't typically happen for you. My grandmother taught me never to dwell on the negative, to never cry over spilled milk, but to move forward. She also taught me that age was what you felt in your head and your heart, not the number of years that you existed. At the age of 70, she had a 69 Mustang 3-speed on the floor. In high school, I got the next joke of inspiration. In my history class, I read about Hannibal, the great Carthaginian general who in 210 BC was leading his armies through the Italian Alps, and there were no roads. When faced with that incredible obstacle, he said, "We shall find a way, or we shall make a way." Instantly, that made a huge impression on me, and it soon became my personal philosophy and creed that would carry me throughout my life, as well as become my mantra in business. Hannibal's words speak to many things: positive thinking, perseverance, determination, creativity, the will to achieve. But you have to be willing to make the effort, and you have to believe in yourself. I'm blessed with 3 wonderful children, and I've told them all their lives, if you tell yourself you can't do something, you're right. If you tell yourself you can, you've got a darn good shot. Believing in yourself is not only the foundation of positive thinking, but it helps you shape yourself, how you look at life, and getting the most out of life. In so many ways, it can make the difference in how things turn out, and oftentimes makes things turn out for the best. How many times do we find ourselves in that position where something happens, some problem, some difficulty? Normally a friend says, "Don't worry about it. Things will work out for the best." You smile, accepting the sympathetic consolation, and go back to worrying about the problem. And yet, it is true, things can work out for the best, but not because of anything mystical or fate. Things work out for the best because of the human spirit, that ever-resilient, ever-present inner strength that takes over, bestowed on us by God, that comes through and allows you to make the best of a bad situation and move on from there. It is the human spirit that when all else is lost, or seemingly so, guides you forward. It tells you to reach down and pick yourself up by the bootstraps and start working again, walking again. You move forward, search or at the very least coming to terms with acceptance. You take the solution or the finality of the situation, whichever is appropriate, and make it work. And as you make your way onward, the new situation you have chosen becomes more comfortable, more acceptable, and ultimately, through whatever clever magic the human spirit works, more desirable. It does work. Life goes on, and things can get better if we were to make them better. The human spirit, blessed upon us by God, carries us through, powered only by the will that separates humanity from all other forms of life. We chalk the bad memory up to experience and further testimony that things can indeed work out for the best. The message raises many issues: optimism, perseverance, gratitude, seizing the moment and sweetening it. It's about our daily attitude and how we handle our daily lives and how God fits into all of this. Let's explore these, starting with the basic approach to one's life. I always think of it that one is awake for 16 to 18 hours out of every day. And we can go through that day smiling or frowning. If we go through that day smiling, what are the chances that we're going to truly have a better day? Does the frame of mind clearly shade an event, positive or negative? How many times have we seen ourselves react to an extreme, either way, and instantly recognize that our reaction was tainted by our frame of mind that day? Attitude is more than just, is the glass half full or half empty? It's starting the day with a basic belief that it's going to be a nice day, a good day, and if problems arise, I'll deal with them. And no matter what it takes, I'll find a way. Charles Swindoll, the noted author and Christian educator, wrote, "The remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude." And he said, "I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it." Well said. That inner strength, that confidence, is supported by our God, who is always with us, providing that inner strength to find a way through. In so doing, God gives us strength, but still leaves the choices, the decisions to us. It also means having a vision for ourselves, that ability to see what it is we want to achieve. In human endeavors, thought precedes action. The more clearly we can see where we want to be, what we want to become, then the easier it is to get there. A compelling vision consists of two key components: a goal that captures our imagination and a passionate desire to reach it. Having a vision means being able to reach beyond your grasp. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Hitch your wagon to a star." Don Quixote tried to reach the unreachable star. In Proverbs 29, verses 18, it is written, "Where there is no vision, the people will perish." In the 20th century, Walt Disney said, "If you can dream it, you can do it." It is amazing how short-sighted people can be in their vision, or lack of it, and in their belief in what can be accomplished. It was Charles H. Newell, the director of the United States Patent Office, in 1899, who actually said, "I believe pretty much everything that can be invented has been invented." How's that for inspirational vision? In 1943, Thomas J. Watson, the then chairman of IBM, said, "I believe there is a world market for about 5 computers." 34 years later, in 1977, the president of digital equipment company, DEC, said, "There is no reason for any individual to have a computer in their home." A few years ago, it was calculated that if aviation had progressed as quickly as computer technology, the space shuttle would have taken off but how we deal with the bumps along the road. I wonder sometimes if we are fair to ourselves in life. Did you ever notice how many people get depressed or upset for a while about some bad thing that happens, and yet when something good happens, they're happy for about 11 minutes? There ought to be a life rule that says equal recognition time for good and bad. And if it can't be equal, shouldn't we dwell more on the good, not the bad? Many years ago, I learned the lesson of not dwelling on a problem, of picking up and moving forward, as they say, of not crying over spilled milk from my grandmother, the person who's taught me more about life than anyone. I was about 12, and I was doing some carpentry work at her house. I had just built a frame for a mirror, and went to place the mirror on the wall, and it slipped out of my hand, hit the floor, and smashed. I grumbled, moaned, and finally began to pick up the glass. And all of a sudden I looked up, and there was my grandmother holding my jacket in her hand. And I said, Grams, what are you doing? She said, let's go. I said, where? She said, we're going to the glass store to get a new mirror. It's done, let's move on. So I told her I was sorry and had to pick up the broken glass. And she just said, it's done, don't worry about it, let's go get the new mirror. Obviously, I never forgot that. It taught me to move on from a problem, and when it is done, accept it and move forward. We also need to focus on keeping things in perspective, never losing sight of the big picture, a major component of maintaining a positive attitude. Sometimes it's hard to remember that when things aren't going too well, this too shall pass. There's a story I once heard and never forgot that says, if everyone in the world could put their worst problem in a bag and pick one back out, they'd like to take out the one that they put in, because things could always be worse. Be grateful for all that you have. Believe me, I am. Lance Armstrong, after his battle with cancer, said, I take nothing for granted. I now have only good days and great days. The Japanese have an expression called ichigo ichie, which directly translation means one chance, one being, which conveys the philosophy of taking full advantage of every opportunity in life, making the most of every day. There's a very powerful and popular book entitled, Is It Worth Dying For? By Dr. Robert Elliott. And in that book, he puts the notion of priority in perspective very succinctly with two key phrases. The basic rule is don't sweat the small stuff, and the corollary is it's all small stuff. Our attitudes can also be contagious, be they good or bad. It's often hard to be down around someone who's smiling and being nice, yet someone who's being cynical or pessimistic can bring you down real quick. Another key element of positive thinking is perseverance, the will to keep trying when all attempts seem to fail. Perseverance all too often seems terribly scarce. Sometimes it's just too easy to say, I tried and it didn't work. As I said earlier, I tell my children, if you tell yourself you can't do something, you're right. But if you tell yourself you can, you've got a darn good shot. Sometimes that takes more attempts than we seem to have enough energy for, but at least that makes the success that much sweeter. Let me share with you the following poem about perseverance. Nothing in this world can take the place of perseverance. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Only persistence and determination alone can assure success. Press on. And from the Bible, it is written in Revelations, he that overcometh shall inherit all things. To me, one of the greatest examples of perseverance, positive thinking, and attitude is the achievement of the 4-minute mile, running a mile in under 4 minutes. For 2 2,000 years, athletes tried to accomplish the feat of running a mile in under 4 minutes. The ancient Greeks even unleashed tigers behind their runners in an attempt to make them run faster. Now that's motivation. No one could do it. People came close, but no one could do it. And then in 1959, Roger Bannister finally broke the 4-minute mile in England. And guess what happened? Within 1 year, 37 more people did it. And within 2 years, more than 300 people ran the 4-minute mile. What was the difference between those 37 and the thousands who preceded Roger Bannister? The belief and the confidence that they could do it. What does that tell you about the power of positive thinking and how believing you can do something can be so instrumental in making it happen? So I say to you, Hannibal was right, because we should push ourselves to find a way, and we can accomplish what we need to if we believe in ourselves and use all of our talent to achieve that end. We possess a human spirit that knows no bounds, that bears no limitations, that refuses fences, a human spirit bestowed on us by God, who has granted each of us the foundation for strength to deal with our lives. Within us, the ever-presence of God is there, and the Lord is always there for us to call on for help. If we reach out to the Lord, He will reach back. If we seek help, He will respond. If you ask Him to be with you, He will. And if you embrace Him, He will return the help. In Deuteronomy it is written, He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. But don't expect God to lay out your life for you. So all you have to do is sit back and flip on autopilot. You must take the lead, and God will be by your side. We must be realistic and reasonable about what we ask God to do for us. Don't ask God for the winning lottery ticket or the winning score or to make your family closer. Instead, ask God for the strength for you to find a way to make financial ends meet, for the strength and confidence to do your best at a sport, and for the patience, understanding, and love that you can bring your family closer together. Don't sit and wait for God to do it for you. That's not the way it works. The story is told of the old man who lives, a very religious old man, who reads his Bible every day in his house on the outskirts of town. So one day he hears on the radio that the river is expected to overflow, and there will be severe flooding, and the people are told to evacuate immediately. By midday, the rains are the heaviest he has ever seen in his life. So he walks back to the river, and he stands on the shore, watching the river rise. A boat goes by and pulls out and says, "Oh man, we'll give you a ride." And he says, "No, go on, my God will take care of me. I'm fine." And soon after, another boat comes by, and now the water is up to his waist. And they call out, "Oh man, hold on, we'll pick you up." But again he says, "It's all right, go on, my God will take care of me." And a third boat comes by, so the water is up to his shoulders. And they call out, "Hang on, we're coming, we'll save you." And he says, "No, it's all right, my God will save me. My God will save me." And he drowns. And he goes to heaven, and he's really angry. And he says to St. Peter, "I want to see God. I want to talk to God." St. Peter says, "Well, that's a bit of an unusual request, but let me see what I can do." And he ushers him in, and he says, and the old man says to God, "All my life I've read your word. I've practiced the teachings of your Son. I've followed my religion. And the first time I asked you for help, where were you?" God looks down at him and he says, "What do you want from me? I sent 3 boats." So it's a humorous story, but with a very important point. Be realistic in is that God has bestowed on each of us a very powerful gift called the human spirit, a strength deep down inside that He's planted in each of us to use of our own free will and to our own fullest extent. Within that human spirit, we have been given by our God the strength, the power, the confidence, and the ability to do many things. We just need to believe in them. Thomas Edison said, if we all did the things we were capable of doing, we would astound ourselves. Go ahead, astound yourself. It will feel great, and believe me, you can do it. Be a believer in yourself, carry a positive attitude, make things happen, distinguish yourself that way. Hannibal said it well, we shall find a way or make a way, and if you ask me, he was right.